Good morning. Hey. Well, here we are, superstar, to talk about surrender. You know, I think that what happens with some of us, just making some observations here, is that eventually we just give up. But just giving up isn't the same as surrender. I see examples and I actually wonder about this, myself, that where some people into their senior years are in the game and giving back and living in service and showing up and some people aren't, and what can happen is I just never would have believed it if it didn't happen to me. I never would have. I guess that I didn't get it. That, many years in recovery, and I got a lot of the benefits of recovery. Many years in recovery, and I got a lot of the benefits of recovery. But I didn't get the full deal until this last year and a half, and I've seen lots of grumpy old men and women in recovery, have been around 20 and 30 and 40 years, who didn't have the light, didn't have they weren't living and that's what happened to me. I was still trying to manage. I was still trying to run the show. And I have to be so astute, even now, to surrender, to say every day, yes, show me what you'd have me to be. And even though I said that for years, I was still holding and still living in the illusion or delusion that I could manage my life. And I think that what happens with lots of old guys and gals is that they get to be at a certain place in their life, and they're like, they give up. They give up because they're still living in right and wrong and good and bad, and they're still living in fear, and they're still living in self-will, and so they just kind of go flat. And when we're living God's will, we're living in the moment, we don't go flat. There's an enthusiasm. Enthusiasm actually comes from the Latin word enthuso, which means God within. Enthusiasm is God within. And so surrender, which finally happened, I finally woke up, and said, holy fuck, I have been living my story. And my story, was not good enough. That was ego. That's right, that was ego. Not good enough, not smart enough, not worthy. That's ego. That's not, ego's not just, hey, I'm the greatest, hey, I'm the best, Hey, that kind of ego that we see where people are over the top sometimes, it's a cover for the other side of the ego, which is I'm not good enough, I hate myself. And when I woke up, that whole thing that I thought I hated was just a story. It wasn't me. I didn't know who I was. So surrender is not the same as what we sometimes see and call, what we sometimes see is giving up. Yeah. Anyway, that's my message today, is that we turn our will and our lives over in step 3 to the care of our higher power, of God as we understand him. We have a beautiful prayer. And the prayer has conditions in it. It says that we're going to give back. You know, and, and if you're here and you're listening to this, grace has already called you. I believe that. I believe in some way we are called. And in some way I knew that. That was always with me, even as a child, even as a kid, I knew, I felt the presence, and I didn't know what it was. So some education has been helpful because I've been able to get the words, And in some way, even though I was stuck in running the show myself, I still kept looking. I still kept praying. I still kept asking for this thing that I couldn't have described or understood. And now that I experience it, I still can't really describe it or understand it because, my desire to understand was part of what kept me from experiencing it. My desire to understand was like standing in the road. It was ego again. Saying, yeah, well, we want to control this thing, and all out of fear. If there's an enemy, it's fear. But you can't battle fear. No, you can. There's no way to battle it. We can see it and recognize that it has no power. It only has the power we give it. We get caught up in it. And fear has some things that, I'm not entirely clean on. Yeah, it still comes up, and I sense it, and I can see it, and I look at it, sometimes around money or relationships. But it's so much cleaner. It's like, and I'm open to the possibility that there's way more. There's way more to experience, to see, so that we can live in our full potential. Ego says, oh, you're too old. Yeah, stuff like that. It has a voice of its own. So whatever your voice of fear says to you, just say, hey, it's enough. Just say it, it's enough. Be here now. Just be here now. And it's in this moment, and we're going to just meditate in a couple of minutes, but in this moment, there's no fear. There's only freedom. How do we get to the moment? Many ways to this, door, which is actually doesn't take us anywhere. We're already there. Many ways. Hi, Jackie. The door called freedom. And this door, as we pass through in this moment, as we become aware of ourselves in this moment, there's no fear. There's no judgment. That's right. There's no right or wrong or good or bad. There's no anger in this moment. Isn't it funny? It sounds like the description that many scriptures called heaven. Heaven is here now. We can experience it in this life. It isn't some after thing. And we were so conditioned, weren't we? Like, oh my gosh, that heaven was, something we could earn our way into. Maybe if we put enough money in the pot, and it would come after life. So this thing, this isness, was here before me, before my story, before I came into this body. We came into our bodies. We were that in form. And then we had a system, a mind, and we started to hear that you are a man, or you are a boy, or you are a girl, you are my daughter, you are my son. And we started to associate all of those things with I am these things. And we forgot that we am the big I am. We forgot that we not just didn't come from the I am, we are the I am in form. And when that realization comes, that there's no word after I am. Everything that we assumed we were, I am a Canadian, or I am sick, or I am healthy, or I am good, or I am bad, is all story. It's not true. But we bought the story so much, I am a Christian, I am a Buddhist, it's all, and then we defend it. We're so attached to those identities that we say, that's true, I am. Don't tell me I'm not. We defend the frig out of it. People go to war for it. Conditioned by well-meaning people who think we wouldn't be able to get through life if we didn't have all of those I ams. I am. Isn't that crazy? Look at all the descriptions you've put after I am. Write them all down. Just look at them and then say, fuck it, I'm not. I am this thing in the moment that can't be described, this bliss. I am free in this moment. Yes. Isn't it beautiful? Anyway, so surrender. What we surrender is all the words that come after I am. All the belief that comes after that is what we surrender. Oh my gosh, what day is it? Is it the 23rd? Oh, come on, you guys. I don't have my watch with me, and I'm not sure what day it is. Anybody have an idea? The one thing about kind of letting go of everything is, life still goes on, and we still, remember to have a shower, but everything becomes less embodied with importance. We literally don't give a shit, in a way, what people think. I mean, we care in a sense because we care and we have compassion for others, especially for those around us who are super stuck in the story. It's the 24th. Jackie, are you still there? What day is it? It must be the 24th. Let's go with that. And it's funny because in many ways, ego would rather have you work on yourself, right? Ego wants you to be a better person. So we're on the spiritual path. There's no path. Hi, Ben. There's no path. There's only now. Okay, we're going to go with the 24th. Is it that? Damn, I forget. Ben, what's the date? The 22nd, 23rd, 24th? Yeah, I think it's 24th. Okay. This is a thought for the day from this little book, the 24-hour day book. Beautiful little book. Instead of being... 24th. Instead of being pretended perfectionists in the 12-step world in AA, we are content if we're making progress. Yes. Perfectionism, the idea is perfectionism is always about how do we look. It's always about right and wrong, good and bad. It's about others. So it's not, yes. I mean, there's some places in life where getting it right is important. If we're riding on a motorcycle at, 120 kilometers an hour, we need to pay attention. But it's not perfect. It's just being there. Okay. We're content to making progress. The main thing is to be expanding, to be growing. And that's what he says. The reason we realize that perfectionism is only a result of false pride, an excuse to save our faces, an excuse to save face. In AA, we're willing to make mistakes and to stumble. Willing to make mistakes and to stumble. Provided we're always stumbling forward. It's always, that's perspective, isn't it? It's subjective. Who's to say? We're not so interested in what we are as in what we are becoming. We're on the way, not to a goal, and we will be on the way as long as we live. No AA has ever arrived. But we're getting better. Am I making progress? I don't know about this because I believe that we do arrive. I think that the promises in step 9 are arriving. Yes, we have to continue to watch for selfishness and self-centeredness, and we have to keep watching for fear, and we have to stay, but who's watching? Who's watching for these things? It's the spirit within us that's watching now. It's the, who is it that comes with dishonesty and fear? It's the ego. So when we've really moved into that awareness, we've surrendered all of our wants and needs, we've surrendered all of our desires to be a certain way, then this moment, this God as we understand him, can guide us, and so it's not so much our will. Our will, the most important place for our will is in the surrender. Meditation for the day. Each new day brings an opportunity to do some little thing that will help to make a better world. That will bring God's kingdom a little nearer to being realized on earth. Take each day's happenings as opportunities for something you can do for God. Sometimes I don't know about this guy. This book's got great reviews, like 4 million of these have sold, and yet sometimes when he paints God as a separate being, an objective being, I'm like, because it isn't that way, so, but here we are. And some of us, the thing that's kept us from awakening is this idea that God is separate. Was a religious idea, a Christian idea, or Hindu idea, that that God was separate from us, and that we were not that, and the realization is that we are that. Okay, take each day's happenings as opportunities for something you could do for God. In that spirit, a blessing will attend all that you do. A blessing will attend all that you do. Offering this day's service to God, you are sharing in his work. You do not have to do great things. You do not have to do great things. But everything that we do in this, well, great, I guess, is subjective, isn't it? Who's to say what's great? My gosh, the words. I pray that today I may do the next thing, the unselfish thing, the loving thing. I pray that I may be content with doing small things as long as they are right. Okay. We're going to meditate. Hi, Sam. So we're going to meditate for a few minutes, and maybe for 10 or 15, and That's it. Let's do that. So get comfortable. Are you comfortable? I mean, that's the deal. And I'd like to put a pillow behind my back. I'm going to try this one. Yeah, that's better. And oh, you guys, thanks for watching. And we're going to just meditate for 10 minutes. Just join me if you'd like. Wherever you are, make sure you're comfortable. Just drop in. And this thing, this awakening, this, you know, it's funny. My buddy Paul Lowe years ago said, you can't find it by looking for it. And I think he quoted somebody, I forget who. You can't find it by looking for it, but you won't find it if you don't look for it. I forget who he quoted, but, you know, so it's an interesting conundrum because we don't really find it with the mind. But, and then again, you know, keep looking. And this is part of how this awakening can come is when we meditate, when we sit. And I'm not talking about generally a guided meditation, because I think often a guided meditation is keeps us in the mind, you know. Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of guided and then drop you off. So we'll sit here, wherever you are, find a comfortable spot. Now the breath. Be conscious of the breath. Breathing, I believe, can be used to bring us into the moment, to bring us into now. So we bring our attention to our breath. Breath is happening right now. And we're here in this now, in the breath. And when we're here, we bring our attention also to our body. Not to do anything, just to recognize that we're in a body. And our body, like our thoughts, like our mind, is not us. We are in the body. The body's a vehicle. When we see that, we recognize that we are actually beyond the body. We're not the body. It's beautiful. Hard to imagine that, you know, we're so identified with the body, so identified with what we do, so identified and attached to our relationships and the things that are happening here on this plane, that we've totally forgotten who we are. Just drop in. Be here now. Breath brings us in. And if thoughts come up, remember the mind is like a bit like a troubled teenager, an adolescent, wanting its way, always wanting to be acknowledged. So have compassion on it. Just be aware that it's just doing the best it can from its place, its construct. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If thoughts come, just let them go. Just don't pick them up. There's sounds in your space, just include them. Just include them. Remember to let go of all, just for a few minutes, just let go of your beliefs. Let go of the plans for the day. Just let go of it all your ideas of who you think you are. They'll all be there. You still have your life. Just include the sounds. For some of us, just to sit for 3 or 4 minutes is a lot. And I promise that you do this on a regular basis. You can just drop in and time will be no more. Time will fly. There'll be no imagining or consciousness of time. There'll be no thought of what's next or where is this taking me. You'll just be here. In the breath. Sometimes when I'm sitting in meditation, I get amazing light shows, just like, outer worldly light shows. It's beautiful. And kind of shapes, like, geometry, sacred geometry type shapes that in the light shows. It's, when I recognize it, it's just the brain snapping off, I don't know, actually don't know what it is. It doesn't matter. It's just happening, and I include it like I would the sounds, or I include my body, whether it's comfortable or not, just include it. And the thoughts, just include them, not attached to them. Just let them go. And this thing that happens sometimes with the colors and the light show inside of my that I can visualize or see in some way. I just let it happen, include it. Nothing to do with it. It doesn't need me for anything. So just come back and kind of be here. Oh, thank you for joining me, and that's it. Love it if you got this far, if you'd go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel. That would be awesome. Thanks, you guys. Love you lots. Cheers.